going live, and we're live. All right, let me put this down.
Oh, we're live right now?
We're live right now.
Oh, dang. Oh,
okay.
Dang. Shoot, what do I even say? I'm scared.
Well, you should start with a trumpet blow.
Oh, true. Hold on. Let me see if I can
Do it like away from the mic, though, so it doesn't like
I
destroy.
shouldn't just go like right.
No, so
How about this? Is this
I don't think people will like that.
That's
Do it like that way. No, like face that whole direction. Because
I'm gonna do that anyway. Okay, hold on.
Yeah, do it like that. Behold, the king will now enter.
It's great, right?
All right, do you want to go check to see if the audio
I'll be
sounds
right
good?
back. I'll be right back.
You could even rewind to hear how your trumpet sounded.
Probably awful.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Kevin Only podcast. 2 weeks in a row now, 2 episodes in a row have we had this. It's going pretty well. A lot has happened in the last 2 weeks. I feel like I've lived another life. Sometimes you have such a busy month or few weeks that you might look back and see a picture you took 2 weeks ago, and you're like, whoa, that was only 2 weeks ago. That was the entire month of July for me.
That was pretty funny. Can we pump it up a little bit?
Pump up the volume?
Yeah.
All right.
Just a wee bit, and we should be straighter than a
You want to go check again?
Curved line.
You want to go check again?
I'll check one more.
Sorry, if it's too quiet, everybody. Let me adjust that. Well, all right, there we go. But yeah, a lot of traveling has been going on this summer. So luckily Sean and I have another day of overlap right now, which is why we're able to get this other in-person episode, which we did not expect that we'd be able to get. But here we are, and happy to be here. It's nice that we're able to get another live one. How's it sound?
I'm actually shocked. I did not think we were going to get another live one.
I know.
I thought that last one was it.
Does it sound good?
It sounds fantastic. We are locked in now. What up?
All right.
What do you do? How's everyone doing? I'm out here with this trumpet. Also, this man, his name I think is Kevin. We don't know for sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
So Sean's trying to learn the trumpet, which is why he brought it here today. He figured.
Yeah, I saw it.
No place like the present to. No place like STARBOUND to practice your skills, and that was bad. That was a lot better.
We're getting better, right?
Yeah.
Look, if anything, this podcast is about learning new skills and improving yourself as a human being.
Exactly.
So here I am. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a little garbage right now. But tune in 6 months.
That's what I'm saying. Tune in STARBOUND 300, and you'll see that Sean's just
we're going crazy on this trumpet. You feel me?
Exactly.
He's spitting game with this trumpet. You feel me?
Yes, sir. Yes,
What's it called? Trumpet Riz.
It's a little hot in the house.
It's a little warm. It's been crazy weather-wise for the last couple days.
Should we turn the fan on? Nah.
I'm chilling.
Yeah,
I'm chilling right now.
Probably shouldn't have worn a sweatshirt today, but.
Yeah,
it was one of those comfy house days.
Yeah, because today especially is probably the coolest I've felt in Maryland for the past 2 weeks. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna bring out my my flannel.
Yeah,
it's flannel time.
So
I
was just in LA for the last 2 weeks in between this episode and last episode.
Word.
And I just got back yesterday, and that was some of the most exhausting. That was
exhausting.
2 weeks of my entire life. It was nice because I
feel like normally LA is the most relaxing time of our lives.
Normally it is, but not this time.
I feel that.
Yeah. Should we update the audience on what's going on?
No. I'm kidding. No, give it to them. They've been begging for it.
All right, everybody. So here's what's going on. We'll give you the tea, the drama. So essentially what happened is a lot of life plans have changed.
Oh yeah. Just as I feel like normal person, especially since we're in that early 20s phase, we're still trying to figure out what life is even going to look like for us. So
exactly,
a lot of changes in the works.
And so we had the opportunity to renew the lease. And because of the actors and writer strike going on right now, the industry's kind of dry anyway. So I was like,
business.
I don't think it's the time for me to renew the lease. Maybe some LA in the future, but for now, I have some focus. I want to focus on some more studies, which is what I got coming up in my near future. So,
word.
And so does Sean, which is also, if you want to go ahead and take that away.
Yeah, a lot of studies. So I don't know. I want to do a whole series on just like how crazy it's been. But basically, I am a student at USC, but I've been able to go back to school for the past maybe year-ish, possibly a year and a half, because I was having a whole issue with financial aid and immigration. Because for those of you that do not know, I'm actually not born in America. I was born in London.
You might notice his British accent.
Yeah, it's really thick. Can't you hear it? Burgers! America!
How would you say burgers with a British accent?
Burgers.
Sounds like boogers.
A burger.
A booger.
No, don't insult my people like that. Anyway, I'm not originally born in the U.S., and normally that wasn't a problem up until I needed to get financial aid in order to continue going to school. Because as many of you may already know, USC is like the most expensive school ever. It's probably not the most expensive school, but it's top 5. It's a really, really pricey school, and so I cannot afford it out of pocket.
Yep.
So I need the government to kind of step in and give me a little bill. But, and this I can talk about freely because it's like such a beautiful thing that's going on right now. So I'm not sure if it's all schools or just USC in particular, but starting 2020, if you come from a household of under, I think, $80,000 a year.
Yeah, you sent me the article on that.
I sent you the article, yeah.
It was after they got all that flack, right?
Huh?
It was after they got all the flack for like Olivia Jade and stuff like that.
Ironically, the timing is very similar. That's a good point. That might have been a scapegoat.
It's like how isn't she the daughter of like Lori Loughlin,
Yeah, she's the aunt from
what was the show called?
Full House.
Full House, right.
She was the aunt from Full House.
She's the one that paid for her daughter, or like she like bribed the school to to go there. Yeah. And then after I think like a little bit after
she didn't. Okay, so let me give USC a little bit of flack, because if we report this wrong, they're gonna be like, why would you say that? She found a backdoor way through this guy. I think his name is called Rick Singer or Rick Slinger, something like that.
That sounds like Rick Dicker from The Incredibles.
Yeah.
Like just like this like shady like spy guy.
No,
like,
he's kind of a shady dude.
He's like the deep throat, like the undercover. You know what I'm talking about?
No, but that's what he is. He was kind of like the shady person.
But Deep Throat was a cop, I think. Like he was
Well, that's different. That was when like the shady person was trying to uncover shady shit like underneath.
This guy was
doing the shady
stuff.
The
President's Men. It's a really good movie about Watergate.
Exactly.
But it's Robert
recommended.
Yeah, it's good.
Anyway, this guy knew how to use the athletic system at different colleges to get students into the school, basically like guaranteed. No admissions issues, no nothing. Just automatically get into the school.
And they said she was like a rowing person or something.
Yeah, so he said that there's 3 ways to get into the school at the time of when he was doing this thing. And there's a documentary on it, but basically
What's it called?
It's called Varsity Blues, The College Admission Scandal. It is on Netflix. It is excellent. I've not only watched it, but I've showed it to a bunch of people. It is really well put together. But anyway, so in the documentary, they kind of explain there's 3 ways to get into college. There's the front door, which is the basic, you do an application, you pay X amount for your application. If you're good enough, admission will, let you in, right? Then there's the back doorway, which is if you're rich enough, you can donate $20 million, X millions amount of dollars to the school, and then the school will re-look at the child's application, right?
Wow. This application looks a lot better all of a sudden.
Yeah, when you start funding the school. So that's called the back doorway, and it's still not guaranteed. They can still look at it and be like, sorry, your kid's an idiot.
I feel like they say that though. They just say that because they have to legally.
No, just I guess that's a possibility. I've never done the back doorway. I'm not bougie or rich enough, but from what the documentary said, a lot of rich people still felt weird about it because it wasn't a guarantee. There's probably some kids that still didn't get in, even though their parent funded a bunch of money to the school or donated. But then he had something called a side door, which basically there's like a bunch of sports. You know, you can get in with like a sports scholarship or something like that. He found a way to use the system to say like, all right, here's an underfunded sports team. If I said this student was really good at doing this sport, then they can automatically get into the school. Now, that's kind of a hand-wavy thing I said. I'm not exactly sure how he was able to pull off the side door, but he was doing that and just getting money from a bunch of rich people for I don't know how many years. Just because it's a guaranteed way of getting into the school, and it's way cheaper than doing the back door.
So she was like a crew kid, but she didn't actually do any of it. Like
she's not an actual crew kid. They just signed her up as if she was a crew kid. Right. She wouldn't go to any of the practices, but she got into USC.
But because of all the flack, that seemed like it might have been the reason why they had this thing, right? Where it was
I think the way it was exposed, I'm not sure how. I got to rewatch the documentary.
USC got a lot of heat.
But the feds found out about it. Yeah. And they tracked it all the way to Rick, and they made Rick kind of expose all the parents that he did it with. So the side door is now closed. You can't do the side door trick anymore. They shut that down. But the back door and the front door are still available.
And now they have this nice thing where it's, what is it again? It's like this new thing.
Right. So I'm actually not sure if that situation and this is connected. Although this is a good way to kind of like, hey, I'm sorry. Try this. Right. Now, there's this thing where if you come from a household of an annual salary of under $80,000, USC will actually just cover your tuition for you. You know, this started in the year of 2020, so like right during COVID. If you come from an underprivileged home, which under 80,000 is like most people in America, but if you come
that's
from
how you know USC is rich.
That's what I'm saying.
That's come from an underprivileged home.
They consider under 80,000 underprivileged, but if you come from an underprivileged home, they will cover your tuition, just pay for you to be at the school. So,
yeah.
If you do it through that way, and I guess through all 4 years, your family home, like the annual salary doesn't increase or anything, you can go in with free tuition and not have to worry about college debt once you're done.
Yeah.
So
now, Sean's continuing school at USC.
You're right. So I just got financial aid. I worked it out with the financial aid people in FAFSA. So I'm getting financial aid, and on top of that, they're also covering my tuition, so I don't have to pay for it. So I'll be going back to school this August into whatever the rest of the year is, and I'm excited.
Yeah, my plans are to get my master's now in this area, because my goals have changed from. There was a lot about the film industry that I wasn't actually like a big fan of. And like, although I love acting in film, like films with the homies and stuff like that, like when you come back for breaks and need to shoot stuff in Maryland, obviously I'm available, you know. Yeah. But a lot of the film world is like so different from what I thought it would be, like, because I majored in cinematic arts and I minored in theater and music, and so. But I went to school for that in Baltimore at UMBC. So like I learned film through having access to a bunch of cool cameras and stuff, but like it was small group projects, right? So it'd be like a team of 5, and like we'd work together to make like a documentary for a documentary class. Right. In a way, like I like to compare it, like. Or call it more like guerrilla filmmaking, kind of like guerrilla warfare.
That's yeah.
You know, like, which is like, during the Revolutionary War when the British were invading, like, the the revolutionaries, like, you know, would instead of like fighting in lines, would like run through the trees and stuff like that, and hide, and right, because they had less people basically and stuff like that. So like, because there's less people in these group projects in like the Baltimore film
also
school,
less resources.
It's less resources, even though there was really good access in my school to a bunch of really awesome cameras and stuff like that. Yeah, UMBC actually does have a very nice film program. But like,
you sponsoring them? What's up?
I love UMBC. UMBC was great. Yeah.
Okay.
And they, you know, because there's less people in your group, you're doing more jobs, I feel like, as one, like or like as one person basically. So like, if you're not acting in the shot, then you're holding the boom mic,
right? Which
is the same thing that we did for like the movie we made in high school, like Black Mamba. Like,
no, that was guerrilla on it. Well, right. Half of it was guerrilla.
Yeah. Well, we're not gonna, you know, like yeah. Well, I'm not gonna say, you know, all of our stuff was 100% legitimately filmed, but I'm just saying, if you
90% of it,
90%,
maybe 85%.
Well, in Maryland, there's not like nearly as many laws about like.
No, filmmaking, I feel like, is a very fresh industry for Maryland. Yeah. So there isn't a lot of guidelines about it.
So it's actually great to film on the East Coast, but then like, which is why like you were able to come back sometimes, and we were able to do your school projects like here. Yeah. And then like I moved out to LA, and like suddenly the film sets that we were going on are these huge film sets, and there's like 30 jobs instead of like 5 people doing like 20 jobs each. There's 30 jobs, and you do like one thing, but it's actually like you have a little too much downtime on set, and like you're not really filming in the city, you're filming in these warehouses.
Yeah, you gotta hide it.
Yeah.
Los Angeles does not. They only let the really big budget films just shoot wherever they want, basically.
Right.
It costs a lot to shoot there.
Yeah. So you'd think that there's just like constant like movie sets and stuff, like, and there are, but they're insanely expensive to like rent the spaces, and they're just like warehouses. So it's so interesting.
Kind of like in the middle of nowhere type of stuff.
Yeah. And then on a more personal thing, like when I was exploring the like theater scene out there, I realized that like theater is definitely more the path that I want to take than film, just because like I think the energy.
How dare you?
I know.
Speak on my industry like that.
I feel like a traitor. Yeah,
traitor.
STARBOUND. But look, it's still the arts. It's all the arts.
We're
still pursuing
the
arts.
Two feed each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
the two feed each other.
We're still staying in the arts. So fret not. You know.
Yeah.
But so I decided that the theater scene is kind of it's actually bigger in DC than it is in LA.
Yeah, LA's theater scene, it's not completely, there's something going on there, but it's not the core city for theater.
Right. I just kind of thought it would be like all like film, theater, music, but it's kind of like mainly just film. And then like the interesting thing is like if you grow up on the East Coast and you do a bunch of theater, because theater's like decently big on the East Coast, like in high school or growing up or whatever, then, you know, you'll talk to another actor and you'll be like, hey, like what shows have you been in? And you'll start naming like plays, right? Yeah. But like when I'll talk to kids that like grew up as actors on the West Coast, they would start naming like commercials and stuff as like the things they've acted in, like not like play titles.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, like acting here is like
it's different.
It's different. It's like in front of a camera, and it's mostly like you know, for like a toothpaste brand rather than
it's just shooting something. You know what I mean? It's a different kind of where it starts.
And I like the like acting the full narrative out like on a stage, like more I think than doing takes. I like doing takes when I can like hold the boom mic and like keep busy in the meantime. But I don't like sitting around and then like getting like somebody a coffee and then like sitting for like
the bigger the set gets, the more of a hurry up and wait. Where with most film sets, especially when it gets really big, you have to have all the people and resources in one place so that if you need it, you can just go ahead and grab it. But most of the time, you're only going to need certain people at this time, other people at that time. You're not really constantly working unless you're the director or some key roles like the DP. But even actors, like talent, they're only working when it's time to shoot.
It's a weird complaint, I feel like, that I'm making, because it's like, I get it. Like downtime frequently would mean that you just have more time to like learn your lines.
I'm saying, like, downtime in film simply means someone else. This is someone else's like scene right now. This is the production designer's scene that they have to dress, and it's your time just to like wait for them and then get your shit together.
But it's just like too much downtime. Like
it's a lot of
just
downtime. There's a lot of different roles going on this one film set.
Yeah. That being said, I really respect the art of it because it is like, I mean, it's the main industry over there, and like it's a good thing that like people don't have to be overworked on a film set. That being said, people are still frequently extremely overworked, which is why there are a bunch of strikes going on in LA right now.
Yeah.
So, actors it's still like top heavy. Like, no, you don't get paid jack for acting unless you're like in this like upper percentile.
You don't get paid unless you go big. That's basically the way it works
for the whole industry in LA and stuff.
And not everyone can go big.
Right. It's so interesting. But so for me, it kind of feels like now that this year in LA was kind of like a gap year. It was just like my version of a gap year. I thought about it like that. I'm like, oh yeah, that's kind of exactly how it feels.
For me, it feels like another chapter just because I've been out there for years now.
Yeah, you've been out there for
years.
Well, since high school.
Since I left high school, I've been out in LA.
Yeah. And
yes, I go back and forth, COVID, whatever, but I've been out in LA. So that this past year felt more like I don't know, like sophomore, junior year. It's like another year of being in this one place.
Yeah.
And you're not done yet, but you're getting to the end there.
Yeah, but it was a different year though, right? Because I feel like
definitely different. Definitely different. It's not the same as any of my past years.
Even just Starbound.
Huh?
Even like just like Starbound, like doing.
I mean, Starbound's a new baby. You know what I mean? 1 year old or soon to be. So. Yeah, you definitely started a couple new things. I think I've learned a couple new tricks. I feel different. I'm not out of my music bag, but I was able to completely being said. Like, I don't want to say like the magnum opus of my music. I still have more to do down the line, but I feel like I really, not even perfected. I don't know what's the word. It's like I've really developed my musical talent just in this past year, and now going back into film, I can feel my film talents expanding and like my knowledge of it and like how I understand it. Like I just feel like I'm such a developed person now than last year. I'm hoping to continue to like improve that, like building blocks.
Yeah, and I remember, just seeing you have to go through all the government-based shit this year,
dude. Oh my god! And I still have to. I'll go crazy. We'll have to spend a whole episode on the government because, dude, look. Any immigrant that that has to deal with either getting a visa, getting their citizenship, getting a green card, whatever, anything government related, even if they're not an immigrant, anyone that has to deal with the government, they're having a hard time.
It's so messed up that FAFSA is like not available to immigrants.
Yeah, it's crazy. Especially like okay, if someone just moved here like 2 weeks ago, I can understand that. But for people that have lived here for decades, right? I've been here my whole life. Well, most of my entire life. Yeah. Most of my life. Like 99% of my life, I've lived here. I don't have access to FAFSA.
You wouldn't know what to do if you just went to London randomly.
I don't know it. I don't really remember it. I've seen pictures, but I don't remember that. And there are people that have been here even longer than me that don't even have the same opportunities and access that I have. You know what I mean? It's just that I happen to be patient. I happen to be in a great position and just in terms of knowledge and at a certain what's the word? Having a certain amount of money just to even get into these situations, because getting any type of status, citizenship, visa, whatever, it costs a certain amount of money. So I think just my progress, because I just received my green card recently. Just that alone, when I think about all the different times I have to pay for something, it's over $1,000. Over a couple grand.
Look, now we just think about it hey, like I said, it's just a gap year, just some time to explore, develop, do all this stuff.
You know what I mean?
And now this summer has been one of the most insane summers of my entire life. So a lot has gone down, but I think we both pulled together and like got our shit in order, and like it was so exhausting. Like I don't even know where to begin. I have like a million stories for another time.
Yeah.
But like
yeah.
things are finally like settling into their places, I think. And
I agree.
very happy with how they turned out. Very happy. Like
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Whew. It does mean though that I feel like our paths were like extremely intertwined the past year. They're about to unravel into, I don't want to say different paths, but we are going to be in two different locations.
Exactly.
This next year.
Which is why I think it'll be nice for STARBOUND to like it'll like track the beginning of the next step.
Yeah.
And like
what you saw was the beginning's end.
Bringing it back.
See what I did there?
Check out the
if y'all know, y'all know.
On
you know what I mean?
SoundCloud.
I'm gonna gatekeep this. If y'all know, y'all know. If you don't, you don't.
Yeah.
But I just feel like this year was kind of like the beginnings.
This year, dude, was like insane. Oh my gosh.
A lot of transitional things. I feel like we're also developing ourselves as adults.
Oh yeah.
You know,
post college is so weird.
I'm still in college. I can't even speak on that.
But just like existing in the real world, because even you, just when you weren't able to go, like because of all that bullshit, you had to still survive and just like go about your business.
Figure out what life is just.
And
about.
so it's just like just like the real world, like no school. It's just like, I feel like that's just like your mindset just like switches into like survival mode.
Yeah, I look at these kids who are still very much, you know, going to school. They're under their parents' house, so anything their parents says kind of goes. They don't have any responsibility. I'm like, y'all taking advantage, man. Y'all don't understand how good you have it, because when you go into the real world where you have both responsibilities and priorities, damn, wow. It's hard.
It's like suddenly,
it's hard, man.
It's like suddenly, like everything that was like a luxury that you didn't even notice was a luxury because it was like what you were doing in your free time.
Yeah,
like you have to do everything yourself all of a sudden, and then it's like you have no free time.
No.
So then your priorities like completely like drop, and then like it's like, okay, hopefully one day I'll be able to continue this project or that project.
Yeah, even your preferences on what you like to do and not like to do changes.
Exactly.
Because you have to prioritize your responsibilities.
For example, like people might wonder why TikTok is so big in cities. It's because like the filming permits are impossibly expensive in big cities.
Yeah.
Especially LA. So like why do you think people move out to LA and then like just do TikToks a bunch of the time?
Yeah, because you can't get busted for being on your phone.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's the one like workaround. So you can just like go and like film a bunch of TikToks in your space that you're paying for, which is like so interesting. You think I just really thought that LA would be like so many more like, you know, people like with their Canons like out in the streets like filming casually. It's like, no,
you will not see that.
Not at all.
You will,
man.
like it's back. If you find like a really tight corner somewhere in the world of Los Angeles, yes, you'll
might be able to get away.
But they're like, it feels like, I don't know. When I see people doing films here in Maryland, it seems just like a fun, like this is the culture. Like we're all hustling to make our movies and make them cool and interesting. Out in LA, it's more like they're rats scurrying around, stealing shots, trying to like make sure the cops don't see them. Like it's much more like a sketchy thing over there.
You flew back to the East Coast multiple times just to film projects, right?
Yes, because shooting, and I'm not even exaggerating when I say this, it costs $800 to shoot on the street of Los Angeles. And you will get busted.
Many directors, actors, you know, they all now, a lot of them TV shows are filming outside of Los Angeles in places like Atlanta or like London or
There's
like
some
Canada.
Things are popping off in Chicago occasionally.
Right. And so like there's a lot of the time like these celebrities, they own houses in like Burbank, but they don't stay there except for like 2 days of the year. So they just like have these houses and they just like, so that's why like sometimes I'll go to Burbank because we have friends in Burbank and I would like skateboard around and it would just be like empty on the sidewalks. Like I wouldn't see people walking around and I'm like, this is kind of creepy.
LA is just a base camp because the business is going on in Los Angeles, but the actual creative work there it's just different.
Especially since COVID, because now like most auditions are virtual.
Yeah.
So like like especially in like that, the weirdest part to me was Burbank, because like Burbank at night just like quiet. Like downtown still had some people walking around here and there. Like that's where we were staying, but like Burbank quiet. Glendale has some nice places to roam
Glendale
around.
has some nice places. I think Pasadena's kind of in the middle of Glendale and Burbank for me.
Yeah, I don't know if I think I went to Pasadena like once, so I don't have a good. But like Hollywood, North Hollywood are kind of just where the tourist destinations are and stuff like that, and those are fun, but kind of overwhelming.
West Hollywood is popping.
Yeah, that's a bunch of clubs and stuff.
That's
like that.
That's the gay club scene over there.
Santa Monica and Venice are beautiful. On my last like 2 days, I went to Santa Monica Pier, and then I skateboarded down to like Venice. Right. And then I waited for the sunset, right? And then I skateboarded back on that, like there's this like beachside road on Venice Beach, and it's like there's no cars. It's just like a small road with like bikes and like skateboards and like all that. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, I know what you're talking about. skateboarded back as the sun was setting, as like my goodbye to Los Angeles. Did it 2 days ago.
That must have been cinematic.
Because it was like the most beautiful. It was so beautiful. And I really was like, wow, this is a nice send-off to Los Angeles.
Saying goodbye to LA.
To the Pacific Ocean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then you get reacquainted with the Atlantic, which is
Well, you watch all those reality shows and you think that like the beaches over there are just like so much like fancier than the beaches here, but like, well, because like Hollywood is
I think you do assume it, but it's because you haven't seen it.
Yeah.
I feel like all beaches, respectfully,
they're kind of the same, dude. Yeah. Like Ocean City and Venice are like way more similar than I would have expected. They're like, you know what I'm saying?
No, they're very similar.
It's just like the sun rises here and the sun sets there.
Yeah.
And I'm not usually an early bird, so it was nice to catch the sunsets.
Yeah, along the water, it's really nice.
Oh yeah,
as it goes into
and then like the pier in the background.
Yeah, the pier is beautiful.
It was so cool. That, and there was this place I love doing karaoke, and so going there a few last times was nice to do my goodbyes.
So sad, like just saying goodbye to everything.
Yeah, I still have yet in this area to find like a karaoke spot that I really like. So we'll see if there's one.
I feel a sense of a mix of disillusionment, but also romanticization from you.
Of what? Of LA?
Of LA. Because it's what I felt after I was there for my first year. A part of it is like you realize LA is not whatever you dreamed it to be. It's not super glamorous.
It's not what you like when you watch those shows. Like
all the movies and shows.
I watched like a bunch of like reality
shows. They make LA and Hollywood just sound like the most magical place on earth.
Right.
And there is a certain beauty to it. But I feel like when you go there and actually like witness it for yourself, part of you gets disillusioned with like, oh, this is not as cool as I thought it would be.
You know what's? Sorry, go ahead.
But after you're done with your disillusionment, you kind of refine like, oh, there's something so cool about this area.
It's still beautiful.
That's just not anywhere else.
It's still beautiful. You know what I mean? And like, there's still awesome parts about it. And I still would totally visit again. And like, but what I will say is like, it's wild that like one of the first most famous movies of all time, and still one of the most famous movies of all time, The Wizard of Oz, is like the perfect analogy for Los Angeles. Like you grow up on the East Coast or, you know, whatever, in the Midwest, South, wherever, just far from there. And like this like mystical Oz is like fantastical, and like there's like big mountains and hills, and Shrek for far, far away is LA, right? And like then you go there, and like what does it tell you every time? Like in The Wizard of Oz, the wizard is just this guy behind this screen.
A bloke.
Yeah, and so
was he always like that in the original, or only
in the original?
When the prequel came out.
No, in the original, I didn't even see that with James Franco. Or whatever. No, I didn't see that. But like when she goes to Oz, the guy, like it's like this magical head or whatever, and then it's just like a dude behind it. And it's like that's like the same thing as LA, because it's like the fantastical movies and like, you know, all the superheroes.
It's literally magic. You know what I mean? Like once you understand what the trick is with magic, it's not nearly as cool as you thought it was.
That's the pitch. But, it's like, oh, welcome to this magical land, essentially.
Yeah.
And it is where the industry is, where like, you know, well, I was originally, you know, intending on pursuing both the film and theater industry over there, but like mainly film. But now I'm sort of transitioning into lesser in the film and
More
more
in
in
the
the theater.
theater.
And like I'm still down to do film every once in a while.
Yeah, we still got stuff to do.
Yeah, but like, yeah, that I just thought that was interesting that like they like the film industry created that movie. Like that was one of the first huge movies. And like they
That was a
told
big-
the
that's a
story, like
blockbuster
they
right
already
there.
told you
Oh,
what to expect.
dang, that's pretty deep.
Like if you just like,
That's pretty
isn't that
deep.
wild?
That's deep. That it is what it is. Yeah, that's actually pretty good. Wow, that's nice.
So it's like I'm like, damn, they already told me. I should have been paying more attention.
Yeah, I
to
should
film.
have
in film
looked.
school.
Look, they were telling you the whole time.
Yeah.
But this is the thing. It's like you can't really know until you're there.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
can't
You got to
really
learn
know.
your lessons on your own sometimes.
Exactly.
You know-
Also, I feel like our year was special because a lot of things happened in our year of being in Los Angeles that has never just happened before.
In our personal life, in the industry, in everything.
That's the thing. Like I felt so bad because I have friends like, oh, yo, like where should I work when I come out to LA and everything? And it's like, I'm so sorry to tell you this. Entertainment industry shut down right now. So LA is not really offering what it used to offer. So that's what I'm saying. Revolutionary time where actors and writers aren't working, right? It was raining the entire year. That has never happened in LA.
We're still
in the past
talking
30 years.
We're still talking ramifications from COVID, obviously.
We're still dealing with the ramifications of COVID. So
it's like-
socially, there's not as many like events or like LA's just a very weird time.
It's like a
when we
virtual.
got there.
The industry has transitioned to virtual.
Yeah.
In fact, even some TV shows, like if you watched High School Musical, the series, which I'm very excited for season 4 to come out in a few days. Like season 2, like half of it is like virtual.
Yeah.
They literally like filmed it on like a Zoom.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yo, like this is cool because they did the best they could at a very interesting time in history.
I just wish, this is my personal opinion, I just wish if they were going to do Zoom that they had some kind of COVID in the show. Because there is no COVID in the universe of the show.
Yeah, I don't think
They were just on spring break, but still did Zoom.
Right.
Break.
That's what they did.
So
right.
if you're going to commit to the bit,
I wonder when we're gonna start getting TV shows and they like refer to COVID.
I'm curious. I know a lot of people want to forget about it like it never happened, but it did.
That happens after a lot of world events. Like all the movies, all TV shows, like ignore it, and then like once it's like far enough away, like it's just a part of history now. Yeah, because like I mean, I'm assuming that like after 9/11, like the TV shows and movies weren't like referring to it all the time.
That's a good point.
And then now it's obviously
it's common knowledge.
Yeah, it's a common knowledge in history. So it's like you're not going to ignore it in movies and TV shows that take place in, you know, the world after, like in today. Or even if you made a movie in 2002, you're gonna reference it
because
like if you made
I know
a historic
that,
piece for 2002 is what I mean.
Huh?
If you made like a history piece for 2002. Or like even like if you just wanted a story to take place in 2002 in the US, you're like, and if it's near New York, especially, like you're probably gonna reference.
No, that's the thing. It's like there was a lot of shows that would try to like have like none of their characters wear any masks or make sure none of the guidelines were up about COVID, and it's like they're trying to ignore that it happened. But now, like looking back, right? It's not like for movies. I guess they just wouldn't acknowledge it at all. But movies that happened right after 9/11, it's not like they were putting both of the towers up.
Spider-Man, didn't they have in like the first trailer for Tobey Maguire?
Yeah, they
Spider-Man,
had the 2 towers.
They had the twin
there.
towers, and then 9/11 happened, and they removed them from the movie. So like they literally just like
just ignored
it, and that's what everybody's doing for COVID right now. It just that's always what happens, right? Isn't that interesting?
That is really interesting.
I wonder when they're gonna make the switch.
Yeah, dude. Weird time. But yeah, it's kind of like I don't know. We came at an interesting time. We had an interesting development period, and now looking at it, not like we're out of it, but now looking at it, it's like this kind of had to happen. I think for both of us.
Oh yeah, dude.
So
I mean,
look at this kid. I feel like if people listen to you from the first episode and now, you don't sound the same.
Oh, I agree, 100%. But I doubt you sound the same either. I mean, we both have like, I mean, in a year,
yeah,
how do
I
you
probably
measure
sound
a
different.
year?
I probably sound different for sure.
In some,
I sound more intellectual. Like I used to be like a little rascal.
Daylights and midnights and cups of coffee.
Huh?
I was just referencing
Taylor Swift. Were you referencing?
No, it was Rent.
Oh, you said midnight, and I was like,
Oh yeah. No, I think that's a lyric. It's like in daylights, in sunsets, in midnights, in cups of coffee.
I see what you mean.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, gone through a lot of changes.
Changes.
Speaking of
faces
changes, I saw Oppenheimer recently.
Oh
I feel like I should
yeah,
probably share that.
Barbenheimer. I still have yet to do the Barbenheimer challenge.
I haven't seen Barbie yet. Don't sue me. I didn't do it in a single day.
I do want to do it though. I'm planning on seeing both.
Yeah.
How was Oppenheimer? We talked about
it.
But...
We talked about it briefly, but just to share with everybody, like this. Ooh, I'm starting to think this might be Christopher Nolan's best movie that he's ever made for himself.
That means a lot coming from this dude.
I am a huge fan of Christopher Nolan. I think when I think about like what is my, what's the word? Like mentor? Who do I look to for like, is this like what I should be doing? It's definitely Christopher Nolan. He's my big, I know it's the most basic answer for most filmmakers my age.
I would not say.
Really?
There's a bunch of huge filmmakers. I mean,
there's a lot, but whenever you think about, I was just going to say,
obvious.
In terms of like the people that love cinema, the two answers I always hear is Tarantino as number one, Chris Nolan number two.
Yeah,
and of course you have
Spielberg.
Scorsese, Spielberg, Coppola, but these are kind of like the older generation.
Yeah, you're talking about like the newer guys.
Movies right now, like
making stuff.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
Even though they are all still actively.
Wait, who made The
doing it.
Irishman again?
Scorsese.
Right. And he's kind of on the end or like the ending half of his career is what
I feel like he's on the back half.
Right.
He's on the back half where like he's already made a name for himself.
Right.
Like him, Spielberg, there's a couple other people in there, but they came out around the same time of that like 70s, 80s era where like they are the biggest filmmakers of that time.
It's wild that they're still going.
It is actually you start to question like why? You know what I mean?
I feel like it's like they must love it so much because like the amount of like after watching all that, man, the amount of like organizational skills that you'd need that you're gonna need like is insane. Like I feel like that's what being a director mainly is, like just organization.
Being a director is organization and guidance
and like confidence in your shoes and like in your hat.
Yeah, it's like I feel like directing a movie, what you're doing is you're taking these pieces from different parts of creativity, right? Almost all different facets of creativity and science.
Yeah.
Like you have writers, you have technical people when you bring in camera and lighting. There's even art and composition for like photographers, right? You have entertainers like actors or some other talent. You're bringing all these different facets, even like just people that like to organize business, right? Producers, people that like to handle business. You're bringing all those people together and trying to give them a through line on working together to make the best product possible.
Yeah.
That is complex. I'll say complex. I don't want to say hard, but it's complex.
George has entered the room.
Dude, why does he look like a panther? You see the way he walked in? All mysterious. There's a black cat in this room. His name is George. And he's being very mysterious right now.
George, you want to be on Starbound?
George. Starbound?
Come on.
Come.
He's camera shy.
He is a very scaredy
right.
cat.
He doesn't want to be on Starbound right
We'll work on it.
Maybe
one of these episodes.
Maybe he'll enter.
Him.
Yeah.
Anyway, I saw Oppenheimer. I feel like creatively speaking,
I agree though with what you say.
What?
That like the director's job is to like bring a bunch of different people together and like you
it's really just it's literally like just giving direction.
Yeah. And I mean we've been doing it forever.
Yeah, no, we know how it goes.
And Black Mamba in high school I feel like was the pinnacle of examples.
Our work at that time
of just like of the fact that we've been training like in this
and that was a complex shoot. We had like
a
huge like a lot of different people doing a lot of different things.
But I will say that like I feel like growing up on the East Coast as opposed to growing up on the West Coast allowed us to have to become more of a jack of all trades for the filmmaking industry. So,
I think anyone starting in film has to be a jack of all trades. I mean we were lucky where we had a lot of resources so we could still have a lot of help in different ways. But most people don't get that help. Right. You have to do everything yourself.
I would say though, I would say it's actually a benefit to grow up on the East Coast if you want to be in film a lot of the time because of that.
Word.
But what I also will argue is that like wherever you grow up, that's where you're going to have the most connections. So, you know, if you grew up in DC, then you're going to have a lot of people are friends or some type of friends that are involved in politics or diplomats or all this.
That's what I was going to say, where I feel like if you were born and raised in Los Angeles, you have a huge advantage
for connections.
For connections. Yeah.
For connections. But for developing like skill or training or this or that.
Sure.
Right? Like if you grow up on the East Coast and you want to be in like a West Coast industry, you have to like build from the ground up.
Yeah.
And then if you want to be, if you grow up on the West Coast and you want to be in politics, you probably have to build from the ground up. And then you don't have connects when you move to DC like we do. Like we don't really want to be in the like political industry. So like,
no,
but we have all those connections for no reason.
We know a couple politicians.
You know what I'm saying? So like,
we know a bloke or two.
I met a few people on the West Coast that were West Coast raised that wanted to be in the political industry. And they were like extremely frustrated with the lack of...
Industry is a very interesting way to phrase politics.
Oh yeah, of course. It's the biggest industry in DC.
Yeah, it's just funny hearing like the political industry is like, it's also a public service. It feels weird.
Yeah, but if you think about it, a lot of it is very similar to film industry.
Yeah.
Because like you're mostly consuming it both on the television, whether it's like a reality show or a presidential speech.
Word.
And like a lot of people are going to be discussing it, whether it's a, you know, address to the country or Barbenheimer. Like, and in a way, you could argue that a lot of it is entertainment. And although like politics do affect us on a daily basis in every way, it provides.
There's an element of politics. I'm not a huge fan of it, but it's just true. A part of politics is entertainment, right? Like whoever gets a lot of media can influence the most people and get the most votes. It all has a part to play.
We talked about this yesterday. And like, here's what I'll say. If you want like one of my favorite takes in media on the film industry / the political industry / well, I guess the film industry is the entertainment industry / the political industry, The Boys. The Boys.
This is an interesting connection. I thought it was actually pretty interesting.
So in The Boys, like the superheroes are like, they're mainly like political figure. Like they're basically like figureheads. So there's like a government that's kind of like running everything.
Yeah.
And like these heroes are like kind of comparable to politicians in that like they have their addresses and their speeches to the country and all this stuff, but frequently they're not the ones actually running it. So a lot of times, you know, a politician might be more of like a face and then a team behind the politician. It's like similar to a writer's room in the film industry, right? So it's like there's
a similar theme in Oppenheimer, but continue.
Oh yeah, I mean there's like, you know, there might be a head writer, but like a head writer is like a team. It's a team of writers that write like stuff, you know. Yeah. And so
even on a song, there's a team of writers writing the song.
Yeah, like for Drake writers. Or something, like for big artists.
I just saw on like Travis Scott just dropped his new album Utopia, and on like a song of just him doing the lyrics, there's 4 or 5 different writers.
George, you're not even like visiting the podcast, but you're scraping up the couch, dude.
This cat, bro, is foul. You're foul, bro.
Come on, you want to make it?
Yeah, even on music, right? Your favorite artists, and this is all of them. Like I know, like some of the big artists write a lot of their own stuff. Like Taylor Swift writes a lot of her own stuff,
right?
But even her, Beyonce, like all of them, they have a team of writers to write stuff.
To write that much content that frequently, like one person is not doing it all by themselves. Usually, like. It's very rare.
Art inherently is collaborative. It's just maybe you're not seeing the collaboration.
Exactly. And so like The Boys places superheroes, which is interesting because like that's like the most lucrative like film industry right now, right?
It's the most lucrative trend in terms of genre for films.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like they took the most popular form of like the film industry.
Yeah.
And they made them politicians, like the most popular thing of the like the most popular people
influential people. Like
yeah.
Yeah.
So they took like these fictional beings and then just like made them like the politicians, combining like the West Coast and the East Coast kind of. And I'm like, and it's such a cool take. It's on Amazon Prime. And
shout out The Boys. It's fantastic.
3 incredible seasons out right now.
I will say I think it's one of the hottest shows out right now.
I really would highly recommend to any audience. Like it's
well, not any audience.
Oh, it's extremely graphic and extremely gruesome and like very rated R.
I recommend it for everybody.
Like like
maybe not everybody.
If you're gonna like if some of that stuff, it's very uneasy to watch. Yeah, very.
There is some grotesque. It's a violent, graphic show. But if you're an adult and you can get past that and then take it as because I feel like the way they use violence in fact has like a point to it. So if you can kind of get past that and be a bit of an adult, watch it.
There's it's everything from like political corruption and political corruption and base human grotesqueness, I guess, like slash
it is disgusting, man.
Slash like fame getting the best of people, like and all that stuff. Anyway, Oppenheimer.
Right. I saw Oppenheimer recently. It's a 3-hour film. It's Christopher Nolan's most recent film. It is freaking good. And like the reason why I said this might be Christopher Nolan's best movie he's ever done is the direction is there. You can tell that I think he wants the Oscar win this time. Christopher Nolan doesn't have an Oscar yet.
Surprising.
Which is shocking because he's the most influential director out right now next to Tarantino. But like the way he directed this film, both the visuals and the sound, it all tells us a greater story about this guy Oppenheimer. I saw somewhere a reviewer was saying, oh, for some reason you care more about Oppenheimer than the bomb actually going off. And at first I'm like, oh, okay, like whatever. But after watching it, I care way more about Oppenheimer and his story and his relationship with science than an atomic bomb went off. Like it's not.
I would backtrack on that sentence if you aren't trying to get. Sean told me before the podcast. He said, "I'm trying to get canceled this episode." I think Sean just said, "I care more about the dude who caused Hiroshima than
in the context." Yo, Twitter about to light me up. You're about to light me up. No, in the context of Oppenheimer, if you watch it, you care way more about Oppenheimer's story than watching a bomb.
The director is making you care about the pathos of the human behind it.
It's not. This thing is not about. It's not about the atomic bomb. I think people that watch Oppenheimer, they might think it's all about like, the making of the bomb, like, oh my god, like, and the emotional story around the bomb. Like, yes, there is an emotional story that I feel like the bomb as a MacGuffin drives. But it's really about Oppenheimer.
The human psyche or something?
It's about I'm about to explain it really well because I think this is the main theme of the movie. It's about what are humans capable of in terms of destruction and also morality, right? Are we capable of doing what's right when it's necessary, or are we just our base level instincts? And if we have a weapon to destroy things, we are going to use it. Wow. So it's a really good film.
Do you have it in you to build the red button, and then do you have it in you to press it?
That's the thing. There's a bigger there's reference to like I feel like the deity, is it Prometheus from the Greek mythology?
Oh yeah, or
just a quick refresher on Greek mythology.
What did Prometheus do?
Prometheus was the god that brought fire from Olympus down to man, and he got punished for that.
Oh yeah,
right. That's a big theme I feel like in the story where Oppenheimer is kind of like Prometheus, where he invents because in a way, the way like the atomic science and the way it works is a really beautiful, complex thing. And the way Oppenheimer sees it, I think he sees it as more like, just the science of how it works is amazing because it's the fundamentals of our universe. But the way that man is going to use it is to wipe everybody out.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
It reminds me of Pandora's Box too.
Pandora's Box, exactly. Stories like that. It's definitely
deadly
you can see it in
the
this
temptation.
Temptation, right? It's just like what are we here for? To destroy, to bring together.
Speaking of Greek mythology, my brother Jay is getting to go to Greece.
Word. I just saw him on my map actually because I have his
jealous.
location. He's still out there in Europe right now, living it up. So,
dude, Jay is that's cool.
That dude's having fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just like this movie. This movie is fantastic. I really hope he gets an Oscar because I don't know what other movies are coming out this year that could be a runner-up, but this is it, man. This has got to be it.
Barbie's gonna give it a run for its money.
I'm sure Barbie. I hear the art direction in Barbie especially is freaking beautiful. That's probably also going to get nominated.
Who directed it?
Greta Gertrude, who also did Lady Bird.
Yeah. I was gonna say I definitely heard that name before.
There's a couple other movies in there that are not coming to mind, but she got it too. She got the pack. And I haven't seen Barbie yet, so I don't know how it compares. But like I have seen Oppenheimer, and this shit is good, man. This is good stuff. Everyone in this movie does an amazing job. Christopher Nolan's at a level now where he can get any actor actors want to work with him. So you'll see in the movie, every face that you see is some actor that you know. I swear.
We were also talking about this at Popeyes last night.
Yeah.
But like we're not sure, but I have a strong feeling that this whole marketing thing of Barbenheimer was planned. Like the dates, because when there's stuff like Batman versus Superman and like Civil War coming out at the same time, it's obviously competing so that people see both movies so that both movies make more money.
Yeah, originally Civil War and Batman versus Superman were supposed to be released at the same date.
Yeah.
And I think, at least with that situation, I think it was an accident. And then when the word got out, people had to start moving dates.
I think they backed out.
Batman versus Superman moved up, I think, a couple
I think
months.
they shouldn't have, though. Because honestly, I think if they tried to make it more like you have to see both at the same time, probably would have made more money.
Well, that's the thing. It's how you market it together. Because normally the idea is, if a big movie's coming out, steer clear. Stay away from it so that you can kind of have your own moment to shine. That happens in music a lot. Like if an artist is about to drop an album, move your date.
Right.
So you're not overshadowed by this movie coming out.
Yeah.
But what Barbie and Oppenheimer did was mix their marketing together.
Yeah.
So that it's not like one is outshining the other. They're being marketed as a dual package.
I just want to know if the marketing team behind the movies planned it together.
Because
they're such polar opposites.
It's part of it feels like just us culturally, we made it popular. Like, they're so wildly different, but they're coming out the same day.
Yeah.
But it could be that the marketing team kind of use it to their advantage.
They definitely took a hold of it once it got
going. They did market it together.
So yeah, I don't know where the origin lies, but
was it us or did the studios plant it that way? Where it's like, no, we should market them together, then people will see it together.
Don't we know that Fast and Furious did the family thing on purpose?
Yes. Oh my God, genius work. So Fast and I almost said Fast and Family. Fast and the Furious was releasing. I think it was the 9th Fast and Furious movie. Mm-hmm. It might have been the 8th. But before the release of that movie, the studio was pumping out memes about Vin Diesel, fixing any problem with family.
Right.
And I think a lot of us have seen it because it's hilarious. And because the studio is pumping out so many of these memes, we as a people just started making the memes on our own time.
Exactly.
It took over. So we freely marketed the movie for them.
Right.
And then because we were talking about family so much and Vin Diesel and Fast and Furious, it helped sales.
It helped sales dramatically, and so did Barbenheimer. Part of me is really thinking that it was planned somehow.
It might have been planned. If it was planned, genius. Because this could have gone south.
Yeah.
And people would have been like, "Oh, Barbie is the movie we want to see today." and it would have washed Oppenheimer, or vice versa. Because other movies, if they're going to be released the same day and they're both big movies, usually someone ducks or moves out the way.
And let me say this, like, I still love the film. Like, I still love film. You know what I'm saying?
Films are great.
Obviously, the film industry has its challenges. Every industry has its challenges. And it's corruption and good things. And
it's sad. The actors that made both of these movies can't even openly, like,
I think they're allowed to market this one, but then they're not, or something.
Oh, it's the movies after
I thought I heard that, but I could be wrong.
I'll have to check the official SAG
yeah
rules. But it's sad that, like, I feel like we came together as a people to, like, watch. It was a cultural phenomenon to watch these movies together. Yeah. And now, because everything is such a halt,
right,
we're not gonna really have that for a while.
I was gonna say though, like, because like it was kind of getting bad for a while. I feel like there was months where nobody was going to. Well, this is I'm talking like kind of also as COVID's winding down. There still was like not really anybody going to theaters for a while. Yeah. And then like I feel like Barbenheimer weirdly was like the first thing to like really drag people out to theaters. Like hella people. And like so when that happened, I was like very happy to see it because I'm like, this is gonna save the movie theater industry, like that part of the film industry.
Big movies, and it's ironic because I feel like a lot of people sometimes hate on like massive blockbusters and like Marvel or something for having a really big movie, but big movies draw out big crowds. It really does support the theater industry whenever a huge film drops. So 2 huge movies on one day
that aren't sequels,
and they're not sequels, they're original. And also, I can't speak for Barbie yet, but Oppenheimer is an artistic film. This is not just a product, it's an art.
And it sounds like Barbie is too.
It sounds like Barbie's also doing that same thing. So these are like really good films that just came out.
I'm so geeked you've been holding that trumpet the whole time.
I just got used to it,
notice,
man.
I forgot.
Just like a note right now. But yeah, it's sad that like now we're in the situation with entertainment.
I think it'll be actually a good thing though in the long run for the film industry because like now I think there's going to be there was a hiatus for filmmaking because of COVID, but there was still some stuff made and then we have Barbenheimer and it did like wonders. It like actually really is helping the film industry, I think, as far as I can tell. And then now we're gonna have another like stretch of hiatus because of the strike. Yeah, but like I think
you think we're getting like another Barbenheimer situation.
I think it'll build more demand for movies, like supply and demand. So like,
good point. I didn't think about it like that.
So I'm hoping that another Barbenheimer type of thing happens after the strike, and that like, or the strike, once they're getting paid more, then there's more incentive to make movies when they're off strike, and then we'll have a like sudden like huge just like wave of like movies and
I'm hoping that after the strike everyone starts making the greatest films just ever made or something, you know what I mean? Everyone keeps talking about how like Hollywood is making the same tired stories over and over and like wokeness here, wokeness there, but this strike should kind of bring a lot of power back to the creatives. So we'll see, man.
There's always people. There's always going to be like complaints about blockbusters here and there because like there was like it was kind of like ridiculous the amount of like recreations we were getting. Like I do find it hilarious.
You know what? But I know a lot of people kind of like turn to Hollywood and say it's your fault. Yeah. I'm kind of the opposite, where I feel like that's the audience's fault.
I kind of agree.
If you don't fund the movies, the remakes. I mean, yeah, but Hollywood follows the money.
It's making money, yeah.
So if you guys don't watch the reboots, sequels, remakes, they will not make them anymore.
I'm okay with them here and there.
If it's good, if it's quality, I'll double love it.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean? Yeah. But only if it's quality.
I've said this before, but I did find it hilarious that like the live action version of Lion King has nothing live action about it, except for maybe like the environments. Like, did they film like an empty like desert?
No, I think they took like 1 million photographs of like real locations, and then maybe use some of it as references. Like maybe a rock in the shot comes from a real rock.
Live action. Like they called it.
No, it's technically just a very advanced animation.
We have 2 animated Lion Kings, bro. Like we have 2 animated Lion Kings.
Yeah.
That's hilarious to me.
That is actually
But
really funny.
it makes sense because like their goal is to make it like look live action, and that's an impressive feat. That's cool actually, but it's just
I
fun.
don't like some of the choices they made in that movie though.
I didn't watch it, so I wouldn't.
Oh, I did watch it. This is not a spoiler either. No, it's not a spoiler. There's a piece of poo that we follow as like for a whole scene. It's terrible. It's terrible.
Why?
I wish I had an answer for that. That's what I was thinking when I was watching the movie, because the opening sequence of the live action Lion King movie is exactly like the original film. So it's beautiful. So you go from that to like a scene of like watching a piece of poo, just like travel. And I think you can kind of get it. The way that the poo travels from animal to animal, I shit you not. I guess I shit you so. I shit you so. Like, the way this piece of poo travels from animal to animal, visually speaking, like it looks like real animals are just like moving this poo around. But so like on a technical level, it's impressive.
It's like what real animals do or something. So you're like, wow.
No, I wouldn't say it's completely.
What? How is this traveling poo? Like what?
Like
the sisterhood of the traveling poo.
So there was a MacGuffin that an animal ate, and then the animal pooed out the MacGuffin. And then but then like we're following the poo because we wanted to kind of get back to Simba or like one of our main characters. So we're just watching this poo go from like an animal would pick up the poo and like kick it somewhere. Another animal would like travel with it, and then another animal would like eat it or something.
It's like a Goldberg machine of poo.
That's literally what it was. It was a Goldberg machine, but of animals moving this piece of poo around, and we're just hoping it would get back to a main character.
Cinema.
Bad. And I love Jon Favreau. He's like,
he directed it.
He directed.
Jon Favreau is a fire director.
So he's one of like, at least for me,
yeah,
he's probably one of my biggest influences.
He did Mandalorian. We've talked about him.
Yeah, Mandalorian, Iron Man, some of the coolest stuff. But this was a poor choice in my. It's not in the original film, and it doesn't help the new film.
I wonder if he had like a really personal thing with some poo and traveling. Like,
I almost question like because this couldn't be a Disney mandate. I don't see an executive being like, you need to make sure there's a piece of poo and it goes from here to here. Okay, like
you got to cover the poo quota.
No, it was an artistic choice.
No, he was like one time he pooped and his like dog picked it up and like took it across the neighborhood or something.
He was like brilliant, brilliant. I need to write this down. Get to the writers immediately.
Exactly. Yeah.
It was wild.
What
were we talking about again?
Oh, I don't know. But I was gonna bring up another point.
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say like one of the funny things too about like being in LA was that like I found myself watching like way less movies when I was in LA. Because
you're surrounded by it.
You're surrounded by the industry, and you gotta like. You're making stuff a lot of like your own stuff, and like it's it'd be expensive to go out to the movies while you're just that's one thing. But like, yeah, I feel like the film industry, although it's made in the West Coast, the biggest audience for it is actually on the East Coast, or everywhere other than LA. Like the people watching the stuff, because think about it, like most of the people that are like in that industry in LA are trying to like get further in the industry, and that requires a lot of like not watching stuff. Like you're if you're trying to make it in the industry, you got to be like,
in terms of like the creatives, it's ironic.
It's not constant watching though,
No, if you're one of the creatives making movies, you are, because film requires like your full attention. I feel like you spend more of your time working on your movies than watching a bunch of other people's films.
Yeah.
But there's an element where you watch, because I feel like I've watched more independent, low-key films and short films in LA than I ever have anywhere else.
Because like you get to go to like your friends' screenings and
stuff. Friends screenings.
That's true. That's the
film festivals are out there.
True. Yeah.
But it's like, I guess in terms of like the big, the product ones, the ones that Hollywood is pushing out, that's not really in the conversation as much.
Yeah. And so like if you listen to Starbound, like in the early episodes, we're talking way more about just like the TV shows that we're watching and like all this stuff. And then like there's a certain point I feel like that we hit where we don't talk about it as much because we weren't watching as much.
Yeah, there was a period at that time. I think it's just because we were doing a lot of different creative things. We weren't watching nearly as much movies together.
Or in general.
Yeah.
Like there wasn't as much TV on in the house, and like,
there wasn't a lot of. Also, I feel like there wasn't a lot of movies that were catching our attention at that time.
Yeah, and maybe that's because of the COVID too, and that was like part of the.
Yeah,
there was like a few TV shows that I watched out there. Like I watched like Wednesday and High School Musical, the musical series, and I watched like a few movies like here and there when it was relevant because somebody recommended it or. Like one reason or another.
Yeah, I feel like for me, in the beginning of our podcast, I was watching a lot of movies. I even watched 2 movies a day one time. And I talk about both of them for the episode. But then there's a middle section where I wasn't watching a lot of movies because I was too busy like either studying stuff for my own movie or working on music.
Right.
And also just events, like doing things with people. And then now that we're in like kind of, I guess, the end of the podcast, I'm starting to watch movies more. So, yeah. It's just different. So different time.
Yeah, and I'll just go ahead and say it. So like there was a certain point in LA where I crashed my car.
Yeah.
For one reason or another.
That was sad.
I'll just say that. That's how much I want to give away. But like basically then I had to navigate the city.
You could have just joined the squad because everyone has crashed there. Kanye West crashed his car and broke his jaw right in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Or it was just California.
Anyway, then I started navigating the city by skateboard, which is good for LA. Like it works. But that means like every time I had to go somewhere, it took so long. So I wasn't like watching nearly as much stuff either. Because
that's the thing. It's like there's a lot of stuff. I feel like there's a lot of stuff in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that they're next to each other.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, we were talking about like Burbank, Hollywood, Glendale, and I think I've said this a million times, but like
these are all different cities.
It's all in LA, but it's basically different cities. Yeah. But just under the Los Angeles title, which is kind of like similar to all of like the West Coast. It's like California is so big.
Yeah, the north of California has a different culture, people, situation than the people in the south. They are not the same place.
And then LA, comparatively like DC and like Baltimore or something, it's like there's 5 skylines basically.
Yeah, I think it's because the East Coast. Remember, the East Coast is like way back in like the colonial times. Like these are like the original places where
you're walking or riding on horseback.
That's what I'm saying. These are communities, and then you'd have to travel by horseback to different communities, but they're kind of small and put together, right? Your community is just in one place. But California was built off of being industrial, right? The gold rush, film found its way as an opportunity. It's built in the modern era. Yeah. So it's more designed just around like, I don't even know. It's one big piece of it's profit.
Designed around the highways too. Like there's just a bunch of highways leading from one of the skylines to the other skyline.
Because it was made when highways were already like invented.
But DC is just in one big like highway circle. It's like inside it. Yeah, it's so interesting.
It's just different.
And you can go from beach to mountain in one day.
That's freaking cool.
That's the cool part about it.
That's what I love. Like, yes, when you get to LA, you'll notice everything is like an hour away. Everything is far. But they're at least reachable in a day. Yeah. Out here in Maryland, a beach, going to the beach is a trip.
Dude, when I was doing backstage, like I would get these things that would again like pop up day of. Okay. And it would be like, all right, pull up to like Glendale in like an hour. I'm serious. And I was like, I can't because I have a skateboard and
you're not gonna make it
forever to get to Glendale. Like because the public transport's only really good in like downtown, like the Expo line, which takes you from like the city of downtown to Santa Monica, which is awesome. That public transport's reliable. Yeah. But then if you go to like the central hub metro station in downtown, you switch lines to the red line, that'll take you up to like Hollywood and stuff. Yeah. And that's the way you'd get to a lot of those like film shoots and all that stuff. But like up there in like Burbank and stuff, there's like the buses don't show up half the time.
Burbank, I think it's because Burbank is a higher
driving.
Well, yeah, it's like the class that live in Burbank is of a higher class, and they don't want. First of all, they don't want public transportation for all the poor people to move around.
The classism in LA is crazy.
It's bad.
Like there's no public bus. There's no like on Ocean City. There's like a bus that goes from like the top of Ocean City to like the bottom, and it's just like 100 streets, right?
Yeah.
And so you can just go. But then there's no bus system for like Santa Monica and Venice. Like there's no bus that goes up and down it.
Dockweiler.
Is there one at?
No, there's none.
There's none that goes with Dockweiler.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I'm like, what the heck? And like it's the same thing kind of for like Burbank and downtown. Like the buses just don't show up in Burbank, and like,
or if they do, it's like by the hour, which is ridiculous.
They make it extremely inconvenient. So something awesome about growing up in DC is that although there is a lot of injustice still, as there always is, like at least
always is something going on.
There's a lot of active effort and like fight back amongst like the community to try and make things better. Like there's so many like recycling bins in DC comparatively to Los Angeles. There's like none in LA. I would be like, it's so difficult to find them.
I feel like DMV in general, like our area is a lot more united in terms of like what we want to do as a community.
Yeah.
But Los Angeles alone, there's just so many different people that want different things.
Yeah.
And they're not really aligned. You know what I mean? Even they were going to build a train system that goes under Beverly Hills to get to another location. And the people in Beverly Hills said, no, you cannot build this under our community. And it's not like they had to stop in Beverly Hills. It was going to go under to somewhere else. They denied it.
I'm not surprised.
And it's because they don't even want poor people under them.
Rodeo.
You know what I mean?
We've talked about Rodeo maybe, but
it's scary.
It's creepy. That street where they always go in like reality shows, like you pull up to the Gucci store. It's just like this one.
I actually walked into some of those recently.
Oh,
like no, I was on a semi date.
Yeah,
I think I mentioned on this podcast that I was on a date and we went to Rodeo, and I went into some of these stores. Yeah.
I didn't know that was on Rodeo that you went, or maybe I did, but
no, it was on Rodeo, and I went into some of these stores like Ralph Lauren and a couple of these places, and oddly enough, the people that work there, super nice, cool, welcoming.
The staff seems
because the staff are actually one of us. They're not like the rich people, right? They're just there to give a service and supply whatever you need. They don't actually live, or maybe some of them live there, but they don't act like the really classist, bougie people that don't want to speak to you. Like some of the people there in Beverly Hills, and given I went to a party in Beverly Hills, and a lot of them are cool, but there's some people that are just like, they're weird. They're stuck up, and they kind of judge you immediately. Like they're weird.
When I walked on Rodeo, I was wearing like normal clothes, and people are looking at me like, what did the cat drag in?
That's what I'm saying. I've seen those people have seen me, and it's like, what the fuck?
And then like the cameras on Rodeo Street, it's creepy. And
I dare someone to try to rob anything on Rodeo. You will get screwed.
There's a bunch of signs like you're being monitored 24/7, and like
I believe it.
I think I might have said this before, but it feels like it's more so a place for like extremely wealthy people to pretend like they're living in the city.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's really creepy.
And next to Beverly Hills, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and then like the way some people do talk to you, it's just like it's kind of terrifying. Like but it's cool to meet the mayor of Beverly Hills.
Nothing. There are actually some cool people. Like a lot of people at that one event that we went to, they were actually pretty solid. They're pretty cool.
Yeah. They seemed nice. I feel like there is still good in Beverly Hills, which is nice.
There's still good in this city.
Right.
Speaking of good or bad things, I wanted to quickly mention this because I thought it was this is I can't even segue this because it's so random, but I just felt so peeved by it. I had to mention it.
Yeah.
So you know how like in a highway, there's the slow lane and a fast lane, right? Fast lane, you can go a bit faster. Why the fuck are there highway patrol like police officers that will bust you if you're going too fast?
You're talking about the left lane? Like
the left lane is the fast lane.
Well, I feel like the fast lane is more so of like a social thing than like
no, it's like written in like when I was in driving school, they taught us the fast lane. Like it's not just a social thing, it's an official thing.
I feel like I always thought about it like this.
Mm-hmm.
It's like built for the people like if you dare. Like because like it's always like it's gonna be like a known thing. Like some people are gonna drive over the speed limit, right? Mm-hmm. So the left lane's kind of like a if you dare. Like the cops are probably gonna like. It's more likely to be pulled over in the left lane because
You're going faster.
yeah.
I just feel like, and even like the way the highways are designed, busing people with a ticket for going like maybe 10, 20 over the speed limit, it's ridiculous. If they're going like 120, I get it. That's a crazy speed to be going.
We can go over the ridiculousness of all of that stuff. I mean,
That's what I'm saying.
it's so. I mean, half the time you're going on a road trip and you're in the middle of like nowhere and like everybody's going fast and they'll pull one person over because they got to get their quota filled or whatever.
I also hate how on some highways cops don't give a shit. In fact, they're speeding faster than you. They don't give a fuck. And then other highways, they give such a fuck. Like, look, I think I already mentioned like this list on this podcast before, but there are a list of like 3 to 5 jobs that I feel like these do nothing but hurt society. One of them, towing. It's just legal stealing. It's probably not number 1, but it's number 2.
Towing, dude, is so
It's
awful.
literally just legal stealing, and then you pay them for robbing you. That's messed up. That service is messed up.
When you say it like that, it really does remind me of just like a lot of things. It reminds me of like colonialism and like, you know, the British just like stealing like art pieces from other countries that they would colonize and then like making you pay to come to the museums to see the
stuff
art
that's not
that's not even yours, right?
It's not your art.
It's like
they won't give it back either. It's just like it's just these are one of those types of jobs that don't offer anything to the world. That's just my personal opinion. And now I'm gonna add. There are other things that highway patrolmen do that are so helpful, but busting someone for speeding, I'd say if it's like under 30, under 25, ridiculous.
I feel like
ridiculous.
I feel like it depends on the road.
If it's a small road, I guess I can understand.
Yeah, because if it's like a neighborhood road, you know,
I'm talking about highways. That's why I said like highways are designed so you can get the fuck out of here.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everyone, and there's like with an intersection, I get it. There's a lot of things that can go wrong at an intersection, but a highway where everyone's just going straight and it's huge.
Cops.
If it's like a 6-lane highway.
Cops cops definitely overuse. Like I feel like they abuse it a lot of the time. Yeah. They abuse it because they just need like for no reason. Sometimes it's just like
It's just and there's a couple other things in there. Probably some government jobs where I'm like, all you do is just hurt people. You should probably stop.
It'd be interesting to have like an analysis of like which jobs are
not helpful,
are not helping at all, like are making things
insurance. Oh my god, let me get right into it. Just wait right there. All right, look, what do you mean I'm gonna pay you X amount of money per month, right, for you to cover me, only that when the situation happens you won't cover me?
Yeah, that's bullshit.
Insurance is actually, that's also legal stealing.
Like insurance like doesn't work. Yeah,
and it's extortion. It's extortion.
Here's the thing, like, you know, at GameStop, when they'd be like, okay, you want to pay the extra $5 so that if you break your disc, you can get a free replacement. That I'm like, yeah, sure. It's like $5.
Yeah.
But like, I feel like insurance, isn't it like, it's just like that in a very corrupt form.
I'm gonna tell you something scummy that happened to my mom with her housing insurance. So there was some issue with the plumbing at my mom's home, right? Insurance says that they would cover it or whatever, but they said they will only give the check if my mom hires and pays the plumber. Right?
Okay.
So you have to pay for the service
first.
And then apparently the insurance company's supposed to pay you back, basically. Right? My mom's like, all right, sure, I'll do it. She takes money out of her own pocket to get it fixed by a plumber. And then she's like, all right, insurance company, like, you're going to pay me back, right? Insurance company said this. We're going to write the check in both your name and the name of the contractor, so the plumber, so that as if they're going to pay the plumber directly.
But your mom already paid the plumber.
That's what I'm saying. basically, if my mom tried to cash the check, there's going to be some kind of issue at the bank. Like it says on the check, you and the plumber. Like what's going on here? And then they would have to bounce. Insurance company would be like, well, we released the money. I don't know what you want. Just
That's fucked up. But like, how the fuck did we get on this topic?
I was talking about highway patrolmen and how like
right.
And I said off the bat that there's no segue for this, but I have to get it off my chest.
Right, yeah,
like some of y'all, right? Insurance companies, towing, and asterisks, depending on what the situation is, highway patrolmen. Y'all do people dirty and honestly should cease to exist. Or you can continue to exist, but in a way that actually helps people.
This is what Sean has to say.
I know that's a hot topic. I'm sure someone is going to get mad at me and be like, how dare you?
I think the Hiroshima thing was worse.
You think that was worse? I feel like this
the way you said it the first time could like be really badly interpreted.
I feel like in context it's not crazy, but out of context, yeah, okay.
No, you explained yourself afterwards, but like when you said that, I was like, oh damn, he did it. I was like, he did it. He did what he said.
It's gonna come from me.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I just have to get that off my chest, man. I can't stand some of y'all out here just hurting people instead of helping people.
Help people, don't hurt people.
Like, look, everyone wants to make a bag,
that's
right?
My piece that I have
and
to say.
I understand like getting a bag at all costs. Like we all need to make money,
At all costs.
But the idea is you're making money through goods and services, which is things that help society. So if you're a plumber, you're working to help fix somebody's pipes. If you're an accountant, you're helping someone fix their finances, right? As a service. If you're like selling clothes, you're putting clothes on people's backs. If you're an artist, you're making stuff that inspires people, right? Or helps people. I always try to say that you should make art that should improve society, not necessarily make it worse.
Yeah.
So
I was reading about like the first like king of Sicily. And it was saying how like he kind of like there was like a bunch of like Sicily is famous for having a bunch of different influences from all over the world, like religion, everything, because it's like this island and like where the way to get to it essentially is why that it's so culturally diverse, basically. But like this guy who was, I think he was like the first official king, like he like was a part of this like they were like the Normans is what they were called. They were like, and they're I think like
the Normans.
Yeah, and they essentially like were kind of like running Sicily at this point, and they decided to run it like more like accepting basically. So they were basically like, yeah, you can kind of believe like whatever religion you want, just don't like get in the way of like the Catholic Church's like thing. And that's like not what they were doing in like mainland Italy. And so like at first like
they were doing something similar to that in Jerusalem actually for a while.
At first like the guys in like in Rome and stuff were like doing the Crusades, and they were like trying to recruit like that's what I was talking about. As soon as the Crusades happened, that changed real quick. They were trying to recruit like Sicily to like join them, but like they were like, nah, can't fade, because like in Sicily they were like it wouldn't be like religious freedom as like modern day, but like comparatively across the world at that time, it was like way more culturally diverse. I'm talking like Christianity. You had like Christians, Muslims, like different types of Christianity too, like I don't know. Honestly, I don't know that much about the different like religions that were there, names and titles of religions, but it was like that at first was extremely disapproving by the by like the Romans, and like because they thought that it was going to be ran way more as like, you know, you have to enforce this like exact type of religion. But then like in Sicily, they kind of built up more of like a good little empire, because they treated their people well and let people believe what they wanted to believe. And like, so the people are more loyal to Sicily than they are going to be to mainland Italy.
That's what I said about, like, I was talking to my mom about, I don't know why, we had a conversation about drug dealers, and was it with my mom? It was with you actually that I had this conversation about drug dealers, and it's like a drug dealer that just like kills people randomly, that are just like violent, are the ones that aren't really going to be in business.
It's Richard III. That's a Shakespeare.
He's a drug dealer?
No. I'm just saying, like, the message is like, if you treat your people well, then like your people will treat you well.
That's what I'm saying. Like, good business is treating people well, right? And like, so like the idea of like a super violent drug dealer that's like, oh, super sketchy. It's like most people aren't going to be buying from a drug dealer like that.
And like, if you're a king and you like just kill people randomly for no reason because you're just like, you know,
power hungry,
you accidentally stepped on my shoe, I'm gonna like,
yeah, who the heck would want to work for that guy?
Right. And so at the, I can spoil Shakespeare, it's more than 10 years old. I think I've talked about Richard III before, but like at the end, you know, Richard III's trying to get his people to back him up, and they're like, nah. And like a bunch of the ghosts are like, screw you, you were an asshole.
Screw you.
Right. And then like the other guy who's like, you know, like fighting him for power, everybody's like, you're a nice guy, I'm gonna help you out, I'm gonna help you take the kingdom and stuff like that. So anyway, as a society, if like everybody could just do that, like treat people well and like try be like, okay, yeah, you do what you want, I'm gonna do what I want, and we can like coexist, then a lot of the time it provides for a much safer,
better society,
nicer society, and all that stuff.
I was just even expanding on that, right? I think the first step is to be tolerant, to tolerate people, respect people for what they are. The second step is to actually help people. I see a bunch of statistics and things about like, if we tried actively to help people out of poverty or give them education or just in general just help people around us, it boosts the economy, right? If you help, let's say there's like a poor country, right? If you as a different country or nation try to help them out of poverty, that's more people that can buy product, that have the education and tools to help each other. It just makes for a better world. So
schools, communal spaces.
That's what I'm saying. Just like if you tried every day, right, to help somebody, or not even every day, just once a year, help somebody in need, you're making not only the world better, you're making yourself better. So
treat people well. I think on that note, we could wrap this up because we've been going for a while.
We haven't. I mean, shoot, I got a couple more topics in the tank. Let's talk about
that trumpet that you've been holding the whole time still.
I'm hip, bro. I don't know. We talk about music or something. Utopia just dropped by Travis Scott. What else can I talk about really quickly off the bat? I don't know. Life is good right now. Much to talk about. I'm about to go on vacation, actually. I'm about to go do all the parks in Orlando. That should be fun. And then after my trip with all the like parks in Orlando, I'm gonna go see Drake at the It's All a Blur tour in Los Angeles.
Yeah,
it should be freaking fun.
And I just got back from LA, so again, we were able to catch each other.
Thank God. I really didn't think we were gonna have this. Look, y'all should see this as a gift. This wasn't supposed to happen.
This is crazy.
We weren't supposed to have things.
We didn't think we'd have this day.
No, I honestly thought that last time was going to be the last time.
But Starbound 40 and 41, like in person.
That's what I'm saying. You're blessed, bro. You're blessed.
Thank you for watching.
Thank you so much for watching. I think we have 11 more episodes now.
Something like that.
Something like that. There are going to be a lot of Zoom ones in there. But thank you for watching this whole time. Thank you for being with us on this journey. Even though, yes, our journey is now coming to an end, simply because
I would say it's changing.
It's changing.
Yeah.
The format in which our lives are happening is changing. And thus the Starbound podcast. But
that's the point of Starbound.
Yeah.
Like that's the
go ahead. No, rap. Go ahead.
I was saying it's tracking the adventure of, of our art-based lives, and
for real,
it still is.
I think that's the main takeaway we want to even do with Starbound podcast. A lot of people, at least from where we're from, that DC, Maryland area, they see art and creativity as like this impossible, oh, I can never do that. I don't know anyone out here in the city or do this or do that or like move away to do art. Like, what does that mean? And just all these fears and doubts. And I hope like this past year and hearing our stories and looking at our lives can allow you to see art in a different way of like, you know what? Even the little things I can do just to be creative would be great for not only my mental, but just for just something I can offer.
And that it can happen, like art happens everywhere. Like even though some cities aren't going to be as funded, which is frustrating.
Right.
That when we were in high school, we had to do fundraisers while like football was just getting funded like crazy. But that being said, we still have a much better like theater scene than most cities. So we're still actually on the upper half, probably.
Art is all around us, everywhere. So please, like, allow art to be in your life. I think it's very healthy. And thanks for hanging out with us.
Yeah. Till next time.
Till next time, on the next episode, you will be hearing us. If this is our last like in-person episode, I feel like we should do something semi-special.
Oh, okay. What do you want to do?
I don't know. This is like an in-person one where we can touch each other. So maybe we should do like,
what the heck?
We should do a game of rock, paper, scissors.
Rock, paper, scissors?
Because we're not going to be able to do it like virtually. So
best 2 out of 3 or just 1?
2 out of 3. I'm feeling good.
Okay.
Ready? Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Oh, there you go.
Ready? Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Yo, who's the GOAT?
I let you.
Who?
No, best 5 out of 6.
5 out of 6. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that game.
I'll take this defeat with pride. Anyway,
it happens to the best of us.
Yeah, congratulations. And
couldn't be me though. I'm the GOAT.
I hope you have fun in the Orlando parks.
I'm gonna have a lot of fun, dude. That's what I'm saying. This next chapter of our lives is gonna be some of the best. I can see it coming.
Do you want to go out with a trumpet?
Oh, I can do that.
All right.
Let me show you what I got. Ready?
Dude. Take it easy, man.
Sorry, man.
Ooh, stinky.
Sorry, man. I got excited. You know what I mean? When I get excited, I get gassy. It is what it is. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this episode.
All right, everybody.
It's been your host, King Kaja.
And Cough Drippy.
And see you on the next one, I guess. 2 Chainz.
Peace out.
That was nice.